Fairview's coffee has mysteriously gone missing. Mayhem ensues when strange, coffee-craving zombies plague the city. Detective Mickey Potatoes, an overworked public servant, uncovers why ordinary citizens are losing their minds and how to stop the coffee apocalypse. But it involves the mafia. And when you're dealing with mafia crime families, nothing is ever easy. The mafia controls everything in the city, including the police, including him. If he breaks the mafia, they will break him. So, the city is without coffee. The city is burning before his very eyes, but he's powerless. Detective Potatoes has the power to stop the coffee apocalypse, but if he does, he could lose everything.
The Immortal Mask, a 1970 superhero crime noir adventure that follows a retired soldier who is given a covenant interview with a death row inmate. What he learns from the interview thrusts him into Atlanta's shadowy underworld. He'll have to utilize his military training to survive from being hunted for the information that could topple the most powerful ruling class in the city. This is not a pre-order or a crowdfunding campaign. Get your books now at Nunneley.com.
Madness Entertainment Group presents the Madness Comic Network with original programming and additional comic-related content.
25 seconds to curtain, folks.
Your favorite podcast is Critical Blast.
Is it showtime yet? Did we take up the entire hour with preview videos here?
I don't know, man. Maybe
It felt like it. I'm like, wow, I got to start trimming these things down to these 30-second spots or something. But we appreciate all the sponsors on the Madness Comic Network. Don't get me wrong. I'm just tired and cranky and old. So already got an active chat out here. Crystal McGee, good to see you out there, Crystal. Thanks for popping in. And Pops is out here running the Madness Comic Network behind the scenes, has the link to the Kickstarter here in the chat. I'm going to go ahead and, well, I can't pin it because Pops, pin it on your side. You're in the other view window. But we do have the link to the campaign right below this video, folks. So if you just scroll just a tiny bit, you'll see the link underneath the window. Click it and get to that Kickstarter campaign. And when they get there, Alex, what are we going to see here? What is this?
Wait, what?
What are we going to see on this campaign? I could share it, but I want to save it for later.
I don't know that I understand the question. What?
It's your campaign. What? Okay, there it is. What are we looking at? What is this project?
Oh, yeah. Okay. Yeah. Sorry, my head's in the clouds after the 8 minutes of commercials. I don't know what I was.
Oh, I know.
Yeah.
I know, mine too.
We are doing an anthology of strongman stories that pays homage to the classical Peplum sword and sandal genre that was big in the late 50s and up through the mid 60s.
Oh, and this was is this considered pulp, or was this an offshoot of pulp? Because I know it was it reminds me of the Conan stuff.
It definitely has its roots in pulp in a lot of ways. These movies really, the modern Peplum sword and sandal stuff really came into vogue around the time that bodybuilders were becoming international superstars. And who is the most well-known international bodybuilder superstar of the pulp era? Charles Atlas. You would see his commercials and inserts for how to get the Charles Atlas body in every single pulp magazine, every comic. I mean, even into the 90s on cartoons, they would be making Charles Atlas references.
And it was only a dime. All you had to say was 10 cents, and you could become like him.
Yeah, resistance training to a stronger body.
Was it called ice?
Dynamic resistance, I think was
Yeah.
his method.
Which turned out to be pushing a wall, and stuff like that. So it was.
Well, I mean, if you push a wall hard enough, long enough, yeah.
And I guess so. For me, I found out that just lifting and toting boxes of comics back and forth is pretty good exercise. I don't know about muscle building, but it certainly has drained my body of every molecule of sweat that I can produce. I was working the other day, and Jason Hunt from Sci-Fi for Me TV was with us, and he commented that it looked like I'd been pushed into the swimming pool with all my clothes on. Because it gets humid down here in Arkansas when it gets hot.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, I've seen a lot of these type of books at local small bookstores we've got here, and there's one series I've seen several different installments of, I guess, and I've never picked it up to read it because it just looked too out there. I think it was called Blade, and maybe you've heard of it. It's just it's an Earth guy, but he goes through this dimensional portal every issue, every story that some scientist built up, and goes into Dimension X. And whenever he arrives there, he's naked for the duration of the story. and, and that's how they draw him on the covers. Not even a loincloth. He's just, turned to the right angle, and every single muscle in his body has been injected with Rob Liefeld potion.
Yeah, no, I haven't seen any of those around, but all of our local comic shops have closed down anyway. So
Yeah, well, these weren't comics. These were novels again. The pulp kind of novels, like the Avenger, like the Destroyer. Hey, Mike, good to see you out there, man. Appreciate you popping in. But here's my question then. Since these are text novels, and they existed alongside comics for decades, but how do you get the interest of the reader in something which seems to be such a visually striking hook when you have nothing visual to show? And don't just say, "Well, we describe it." That doesn't work.
I mean that's really kind of what you have to do, but it's about being able to convey that action and excitement through words rather than just through pictures. And one of the things that we've been doing as part of our promotion for this has been plugging a lot of the old movies from the 60s and stuff to give people an idea of the kind of stories that they'll find. This project is actually an homage to a TV series called The Sons of Hercules. And what this TV series did was it was a syndication package where they bundled up and redubbed a bunch of Italian sword and sandal action movies,
Okay.
and they sold them to networks to run as Saturday morning or Saturday matinee programming blocks. You could watch either a movie across 2 hour long installments, like see the exciting conclusion next time, or they'd show the whole movie at once. But a lot of these movies are now free to watch on YouTube. Just look up Sons of Hercules, and you'll find all these classical sword and sandal peplum strongman movies. And so in our run up to this, we've tried to gin up interest in the films that really inspired this collection.
I guess the Steve Reeves Hercules film would fall into that category as well. Then.
Yes, the Steve Reeves Hercules film is actually what kicked it off, because throughout the early 50s you had this rise in the big budget costume epic, just huge spectacles. But at the end of the 50s, you were also, like I said, seeing the rise of the international superstar bodybuilder, and this Hercules movies just kind of comes out of nowhere and just the biggest thing, and there was like, we've got to recreate this success. So they started giving lead role jobs to these bodybuilders in these costume epics, and having these basically superhero films starring these really strong, ripped bodybuilders. So they do these amazing feats of strength and daring. And it basically kicked off a superhero boom of a sort in the 60s. But it really goes back to that Steve Reeves Hercules movie.
Would you say that movement culminated, I guess, with the with the Schwarzenegger Conan film, or did it drop
You
off
know,
before
it
then and come back?
the 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 major boom in it lasted from about 1958 through about 1966, but the Conan movies were part of a revival of this. You were getting the pulp revival of the 1970s, where there was a renewed interest in writers like Howard, and you had all of the Conan comics, and the Tarzan stuff had been around forever. um, but there was the renewed interest in the 70s, and that translated into some movies, and eventually the Miller's Conan, and that kind of kept on going on and even revived it to an extent. In the meantime, though, you did have some things like Jason and the Argonauts,
Oh yeah.
Clash of the Titans, that really sort of pay homage to this genre. So it's there is a continuity, but the area that we kind of focused on thematically was the 60s.
Okay. JR in the chat's got a funny companion piece for this. The book would be The Mighty Half Brothers of Hercules, because, yes, Zeus did like to go after a little strange something something on the side a lot. It would make an interesting anthology, I suppose. But this anthology has a lot of people here that I've never heard of. A lot of people whose names start with M, which seems to have been a strong sounding consonant beginner, I guess. Are all of these characters pre-existing characters?
Actually, no. We
Okay.
have a mix of pre-existing characters, some new IPs, and a few homages to some classic characters from the 60s who were public domain. Machiste, for example, is actually a public domain superhero. He was one of the main guys of the 1960s revival, but that character actually goes all the way back to the silent era from in 1914, where the character was the star of something like 26 or 27 silent films.
Oh wow.
Yeah,
And these were all again, a big strong man doing feats of strength with rigged props probably, but
yeah. It's kind of funny how it started out. The first Machiste movie was a costume epic about the Punic War called Cabiria, and the character Machiste was a sidekick of the hero. You know, he was the big, strong slave who followed the Roman hero around anytime he needed like bars to be bent or something really heavy lifted. The slave character would bend the bars, lift the rock, throw the Phoenicians down the well or whatever. And he was really the breakout sensation of the movie, but they were like, okay, what can we do with this character? We're not going to just keep making a bunch of movies about the Punic Wars. So what they did in the sequel is they're like, what if we move this kind of to present day? So in the sequel, you have this lady who's basically on the run from the mob. She's inherited a lot of money, and she's got these goons who are chasing her, like kidnap her, hold her for ransom or whatever. She ducks into a movie theater that happens to be playing Cabiria, the first Machiste movie. It's the scene where he's bending the bars to let people out of the prison. She sees the guy and like, he's the man who can save me. And so she tracks down the actor, who happens to be Machiste as well, and says, "Help me, Machiste, you're my only hope."
oh,
And
I
so
thought you were
from,
going to
from
say
there,
the Last
you
Action
end
Hero
up
there for a
with
minute.
this sort of superhero franchise. It's sort of Buster Keaton style action, physical acting, kind of action comedy movies. A lot of cool practical effects, but it's really one of the first superhero franchises in film. And like I said, they went on to make about 27 movies starring this character played by the same actor, Bartolomeo Pagano.
Yeah, I'm reading the list here, and one of the characters is Heracles, which I thought was Hercules, but what is this different? Just same name, different character, or how's that working?
Well, and because this anthology is a Sons of Hercules anthology, in that particular story, he is a descendant of Hercules in a far, far future post apocalyptic setting.
Oh, so they're not all going to be set back in Ancient of Days type places.
Yeah, no, actually, that cover story is another post apocalyptic story that takes place. And I don't know if you've been in Little Rock, but, Boyle Park. There's a
Yeah,
little
really.
Easter egg for anyone who's from around here.
I know not to go there too late at night.
Yeah. So the idea for this collection was, since the original Sons of Hercules series took a bunch of unrelated movies and packaged them and thematically tied them together, I wanted to try to do the same thing. And we approached several of our best authors who I thought would be a really good fit for this and said, okay, this is what we're looking at doing. You can either come up with a new character, you can use one of your existing characters if you're willing to work them into the template of being a son of Hercules, or you can use a public domain hero. And so we had 5 authors who created original characters specifically for this anthology. We had 2 people who did unique takes on Machiste, and we also had a full-length novella from Mark Mellon of his Melkart character. We have published a couple Melkart stories so far in Cirsova magazine, but he was a perfect fit for this anthology. His premise is he's this warrior trader from Phoenicia who, he'll be on his caravan trying to take his gold, copper, trinkets, whatever, from point A to point B. And of course, crazy stuff happens when he arrives. One of the stories that we run in the magazine, he washes up on an island ruled by a wizard who has a brass automaton. In another story, he shows up with his caravan and he just happens to arrive at the same time a giant crocodile monster has declared himself a god. In this particular story, he shows up at the Pontus and is greeted by King Mithridates, who, if you know anything about classical history, was obsessed with poisons and poisoning people. So he tries to con Melkart, poisons him, and throws him into the mines. And so he's like, well, I'm going to go get my revenge. And he leads a slave uprising to get his revenge.
And this would be Melkart in his image here, then fighting that crocodile.
That is actually Maxis. That's
okay.
The Maxis in the Lake of Blood story. The one where Melkart fights a crocodile is in an issue of Cirsova from last year, I think.
And the first time I saw this, I thought, oh, he's fighting a crocodile. But now that I see the bigger picture, no, he's not. He's fighting some sort of humanoid crocodile creature, it looks like.
Yeah.
So there'll be lots of
there are going to be lots of big monsters. I mean, that story, the guy's fighting the weird crocodile monster thing. In another story, one of the sons of Hercules is fighting a giant praying mantis. In that Melkart story, he's fighting a cyclops and a manticore at different points in the story. So, if you like guys fighting big monsters, often with their bare hands, we're going to have a lot of that.
I'm digging it. Yeah, this is now. This is another cover. This is this Michael Tierney's character? Because I know it's his artwork.
Yeah. This is from. I don't know if it's necessarily his character, but he does have a story in this.
This is some good looking stuff here.
Michael's cover is exclusive to the hardcover. On the hardcover, we have a reversible dust jacket, so you can flip it either way to have whichever one you want be the front cover.
Yeah, and these covers weren't complete just by having a muscle man on there. There was also having to be some sort of barely clad woman hanging onto his leg or fighting alongside him, or being dragged away by whatever monsters were there. That's what made it. It was eye appealing all the way around.
Definitely.
So you got a couple of different reward tiers on here. 3 to be specific. So it's a very easy choice to make here, folks. You can You can get the ebook for $3. That is a deal, because how many pages is this, Alex? You know, offhand?
I don't know how many pages it'll be in ebook, but it's 70,000 words, which in print I think comes to like 200 pages.
Yeah, it's a big book. So you got the hellet, the hoplite, and the signed hoplite. What do these words mean? That it sounds like you're throwing Scrabble tiles out now. What's that? What are they mean?
Well, kind of going with the Greek antiquity theme with a lot of our characters. The helots were kind of like the peasant slave types. The hoplites were the citizen soldiers who formed the phalanx. And of course,
And
Myrmidon were the heroic warriors.
Is there a Myrmidon level? There is. Okay, never mind. I'll get back down to that. So you can get the paperback, you can get it signed, but only in the U.S.
Yeah, sorry, the signed copies are too expensive to ship overseas. I'd probably have to charge people about as much as the book itself would cost to get it shipped to me, signed, and then mailed international.
Yep.
But we do have book plates if anybody wants a signed copy and have a book plate instead.
Yeah. Now, and these are signed by Abraham Strongjohn, who so it's just one of the authors signing. It's not the whole kit and caboodle. Or
yeah, just one of the authors. The one who has the cover story, though. So
okay, well, yeah, that's the lead. This is the Myrmidon level, which you had mentioned is the exclusive hardcover. You can only get this one on the Kickstarter, folks. And this is the one with the reversible dust jacket, so you can make the front of the book be whichever piece of artwork you would prefer it to have. That's a unique idea. I like that. And you can get the Myrmidon signed as well. This is the same artwork, but now with the trade dress treatment on it. I see the magic words under this volume 1, which automatically plants the idea that there's more. Yeah,
well, we would love to be able to spin this off into its own thing. It's kind of an experiment right now. But all of these characters, there's no reason that they can't come back and have more adventures. I know at least a couple of authors are already working on sequel stories for future volumes. Now, one of the things that we did a little bit different this time is, since we're doing this so close to our open submissions period, we got the stories on spec, which means the authors agreed to let us use their names and the stories without paying them first.
Okay.
On the condition that we hit our Kickstarter goals and have the money to pay them, we will cut the checks and print the books.
Got it. So guys, we want to hit this goal. We want authors to get paid for their work, right? We don't want the thing to get canceled and them have to shop it around somewhere else. And this is a cool idea for a collection if you like adventure stories. This one stood out to me when I saw it. You got patron tiers where you can advertise in the book. Now this does go back to some of the old pulp paperbacks, because I've got Destroyer novels, original first prints, where there in the middle of the book is a tearaway advertisement for cigarettes, cigarette coupons.
Yeah. So this is for if people really want to help us out and support this book. For $100, you can get a full page ad that'll run in the back of the book, all the formats. It'll be in the ebook, it'll be in the paperback, it'll be in the hardcover, it will be in the paperback and ebook while they stay in print on Amazon. So your ads will be there essentially in perpetuity. And we also made sure that we had flexible tiers so that if anybody wants to advertise and still get the books, they can still get the books in addition to the advertisement. And that defrays some of our costs and lets us be able to set aside some more money for when we hopefully are able to do a second volume of this.
Yeah. That messes with your shipping, though, right? Because once you got paid advertisements, you can't go media anymore.
Shh, don't tell anybody.
Oh,
No, it doesn't mess with our shipping.
Okay.
I mean, if we included inserts and stuff, that's different.
Yeah.
But we're not including inserts. So
Okay. Where is the money going? It's going to you guys. It's going to go to the authors, folks. So, and the artwork's already been paid for.
yeah, we already paid our artist Kevin John Jacobs, who is the main artist for the Paladin Dragoon comic, which I don't know if you've seen that around, but it's been showing up in the Iron Age circles lately. He did the main cover for it, and everything has already been run through all of our edits. We hired our regular copy editors to do the copy edits on this, so everything is ready to go. So if it funds, like, we don't have to wait for anything except for just, we cut the checks to the authors and get the books printed.
Well, you're a little over halfway here, so um, viewers out there in chat land, share this video out. Let some people know what's going on here. And if you're looking for something to read, what are the dimensions on this book? Is this like a pocketbook or a larger trade paperback size? I mean, how?
It's trade size. It's 6x9.
Okay. Okay, so you're not going to stick it in your back pocket like you would one of the older pocketbooks you would get. And
Yeah, we decided to go with a standard trim size on this just to make it easier for shipping and handling, and just make our logistics a little bit simpler.
plus, you get a bigger version of that beautiful artwork for the cover. So
Yeah. I mean, we've experimented some doing pocket paperbacks, but the problem is printers still treat them as a novelty, so it's more expensive to print up a pocket paperback than it is a trade paperback.
yeah. George Peter Gatsis says it's a nice concept. George, you should have been here earlier when you'd have heard
Hey,
that
thanks, George. Good to
the
see you.
entire concept is based off a public domain television series called The Mighty Sons of Hercules, which are all out there on YouTube. George runs a show which plays public domain movies, and
Yeah. This stuff is definitely up George's alley. I mean,
hey there, Puma Fist. Thanks for popping in. Appreciate it. Yeah, it would definitely be, because I know that he's always looking for more public domain movies to clean up and share out on his channel. And if you haven't gone to the George Peter Gatsis channel, go out there and give that a like and a subscribe while you're at it.
yeah, and if you guys aren't really familiar with the character of Machiste, he's actually, a couple of his movies have been on Mystery Science Theater. Probably the most well-known Machiste movie for that very reason is Mole Men Against the Son of Hercules.
Oh, geez.
Absolute
Those mole men,
classic.
they got around.
Yeah, I mean,
they fought Superman, and
it's
then
a great movie if you can get past the fact that it's shot day for night in bright ass noonday sun.
oh, that happened in so many of the Republic serials that we're seeing. It's like, wait a second, isn't this supposed to be night? How come they're casting shadows?
Yeah. So, like, there'll be huge shadows, but everybody's standing around with these torches. But the mole men can't be out in the sunlight, otherwise they burst into flames and then turn into bones and crumble to dust.
Roland Nyanza says, I hope this earns out so I can write a Machiste story for volume 2. Well, you can help that. You can pick a tier and get it a little bit closer. We're over halfway to the goal. 14 days to go. Of course, these things, they plateau right about now, and then they spike again near the end. But love to see another 100 backers get on this and push it over the top.
Definitely. Yeah, we got up to over 2,000, something like 2,500 in the first couple of days, but then of course we hit the Kickstarter plateau.
Yeah. So you guys publish a lot of different things. What's on the horizon beyond this? We're focused on this, but you guys are always planning the next.
We've got so much stuff going on. I just finished edits on Michael Tierney's latest Wild Stars novel, which we're going to be serializing in 2024. We're serializing Wild Stars 7 right now, and we're going to be releasing the collected edition sometime later this fall of Wild Stars 6. So we've got a lot of Michael Tierney stuff coming out, and that's been pretty big for us lately.
Giving up the comic shop has been the best thing for his writing.
Yeah, I mean, the thing is now that he's retired, he can knock out a Wild Stars novel in about 4 weeks. It probably takes me longer to get my edits in than it does for me for him to write them.
Now, interesting. Rob brings up an interesting point here. He says his usual fare is female protags getting themselves in trouble, and of course, that would be a different perspective, point of view from the story. But it also makes me wonder: would you be open in a future anthology to daughters of Hercules? I mean, does it always have to be the strong male protagonist? Can you have like a Red Sonja type character?
I haven't encountered enough authors who could successfully write that sort of character for me to really want to open the door to that.
Yeah, because I mean, other than Red Sonja and Xena, there really weren't movies along that lines, were there? I mean, you can count Wonder Woman.
Oh, yeah, there was the Amazons movies based on that Charles Saunders book.
Okay, yeah, there was that. Usually they all lived on other planets. There were Amazons on Venus, Amazons on the moon. Different thought. Okay, well, we'll just table that for another discussion some other time. I had a question on the tip of my tongue, and then I got distracted by the thoughts of strong women in chainmail. Yeah, but women in chainmail that are super strong get in my head, and then I'm like, I was thinking something.
I feel like that's a genre that works better in comics.
Yeah, I think you're right.
And most of my experience, writers who tend to try to write female protagonists in this vein tend to focus too much on trying to oversell the idea that they're as strong as any man. They could best any man in a fight. They're very, very strong, not like all the other girls. I like I said, I haven't come across any writers just in my submissions generally who could pull off that sort of character. And that's not to say we haven't run a lot of series with female protagonists. I mean, we run Louis Sorensen's Darla of Deodant stories. We've been publishing those since about 2017. And also, of course, Cat from Mongoose and Meerkat from our Jim Brayfogle stuff. But it's a different kind of story, and we're looking to do something really specific with this to try to bring back a very specific archetype.
Yeah, and of course, in the case of Red Sonja, she's always better than any man, and unfortunately, she's taken a vow that she won't, get relationships with any man unless he can best her, and none of them have so far. Was that Howard's idea, or did that come up in? No.
Red Sonja was actually, I think, a Roy Thomas creation.
Yeah, because there was a Sonja with a Y in the Howard books, and then there was Sonja
yeah, except
with a J.
she was not a part of the canon universe.
I always feel like she was, but
no, she was like, I think, 19th century Polish or something.
Oh Lord. Okay. Totally not there then.
Yeah. Basically, they got the rights to have a character named the same thing as a Howard character, and because they had the Conan and Howard license at the time and wanted to use her in crossovers, they did some weird rights and trademark finagling.
And made it happen because it was comics, and that was the visual medium where like you said, it would work best there.
Yeah, and the sort of comics that are also kind of an inspiration for this project, the old Western publishing books from the 60s, The Mighty Samson and Magnus Robot Fighter.
Oh God, yes, I love both of those.
Yeah, because I mean, Mighty Samson is basically let's take a Machiste character and stick him in post-apocalyptic New York and have him fight mutants. While Magnus is let's take a Machiste character and stick him in a high-tech future where he has to fight robots.
Yeah, and it was, it wasn't a lot of variety because it was, what's he going to do? He's going to fight robots. What kind of robots? Different robots this time. But they were so well drawn. I want to say it was Russ Mann that was doing those, or doing at least some of those. But yeah, if you haven't seen the Mighty Samson or Magnus Robot Fighter comics, folks, dig them up.
If you can, absolutely pick up some Mighty Samson. You can find beaters relatively cheap if you don't mind. They're going to be about what you would pay per issue for a high quality comic from another era. So between $4 to $8 for a reader copy, but they're absolutely worth picking up.
Yeah. Well, speaking of books that are worth picking up, folks, we're talking about the Mighty Sons of Hercules tonight, and it's an anthology, so you're going to get a handful of stories in here. I love anthology books because you start a book and it's a commitment. You get an anthology like, oh, I'm just going to read a story and I can put it down and come back and read another story later. You don't feel that obligation to keep turning pages until you're just exhausted and have to quit.
And this is something that my mom was telling me, just the other day. She's like, you should really market this to women, because I found out that my mom was a fan of the Sons of Hercules TV series when she was a kid, and so these are essentially romance stories where a big strong man saves the day, usually saves a woman, sweeps her off her feet, saves her from the bad guys in perilous situations. It's not just musclehead action stuff. It's got a touch of romance to it.
Yeah, well, that makes sense. I mean, think of all those Fabio covers that used to adorn the shelves. He was a well-built man and was always, sweeping the woman off her feet, even though the woman was the lead of the story. Mike Walters reminding us here that as the top of the hour approaches, folks, be sure to pop over to the mic stand for everything in the niche news. Get everything you need to know about anime, comics, and professional wrestling through the mic stand Monday through Thursday. And, of course, on Friday nights, the comic book historic retrospective, where we go back in time and read the Golden Age comics online, out loud, doing voices and sound effects. It's just a lot of fun if you're wanting to find out more about the Golden Age characters. Alex, is there anything that I haven't covered about this that you'd like to make people aware of about the Mighty Sons of Hercules collection?
Well, not specifically about this, but if anyone is interested, we are taking submissions for Cirsova magazine starting next month. So if you are a fictioneer of any sort, if you write adventure fiction, anything thrilling, swashbuckling, romance, even some horror, go ahead and send it our way. We are accepting stories from about 2,000 words to up to about 10,000 words. We will be open from August 1st through August 7th. We pay 1 penny and a quarter per word thereabouts, which qualify as semi-pro rates. So, you send us a 10,000 word story and we buy it, we pay you $125 for it.
Hey, that's a deal. Where would they send those to, Alex? I'll put the link in the chat.
Oh, you can, what we recommend is go to our website, cirsova.wordpress.com. Up on the top menu, there's an item that says submission guidelines. Be sure to read those. Those are very important. And our contact information will be at the bottom of that page.
All right. So, folks, I put the link there in the chat. It is right here. If you want to pause the video at this point and say type it in, because I didn't see the chat because I'm watching it on replay, go there and hit that submission button. And like he said, read the guidelines. Lord, I've got so many I've been there, Alex. We open for submissions as well. We're wrapping up. We finished the reading period, so now I'm going through and culling the better stories from what we did get for the Monsters Next Door. And yeah, sometimes we get some good stories. We had a lot of good stories come in, but it didn't fit the theme. Some of them were like close to the theme. We're like, yeah, we're going to say this doesn't quite fit. And some of them were just wildly off. It's like, did you even know what the book was about?
Yeah, we're actually pretty flexible in the kinds of stories that we buy, but still we end up with a lot of submissions that are just wildly off because people don't read the guidelines.
Yes, no elves. Is that your policy, Alex? No elves?
No elves.
Okay. It's a Christmas
Too many people
volume.
have sent in their crappy Dungeons and Dragons fan fiction, and we don't buy or publish those kinds of stories. So it's easier to just say no elves.
Just no elves and Merry Christmas. All right. Well, that was a very bad joke. I need more to drink if I'm going to try to pun better than that. At any rate, we are approaching the top of the hour here, so it's probably a good point to wrap things up. I wish I could say that I had seen the number climb during the show here, that some viewers would have kicked in some bucks, but alas, that hasn't happened yet. A lot of people come in on the replay. We're at an hour of the day where we're competing with a lot of other live streams for views, so people pop in and check things out later. But folks, action and adventure right here between the pages of The Mighty Sons of Hercules from Cirsova magazine, Cirsova Publishing. 2 weeks to go. Don't wait till 2 weeks is over. But if you do feel inclined, at least click on the little green button that says remind me. One below the green button that says remind me, so that you'll get those little emails saying, hey, we're almost done. Give us the money. Woody, we got to raise your bar, my friend. Your pun appreciation bar. So with that, Alex, thank you so much for coming on the show tonight and
Thanks for having me.
and talking about you. I learned a lot about this. I did not know there was a TV show. And now I want to go seek it out and watch some of these things.
Yeah, it's all on YouTube, or maybe not all of it, but a lot of them. After the show, I can do a thread of some of the best YouTube links.
Cool. All right. Folks in the chat, thank you so much for being here tonight. We don't have a show without you guys showing up and giving us your eyes for a little bit and your ears. And, sometimes your clicks. We do appreciate that. Share the video out to your friends. Let them know what Alex is doing here. And maybe, this will be something that is up their alley as well. And they would like to get in on it. And as always, while you were here, we just hope you had a blast. Good night.